this mental illness called alcoholism. And I want to explain what that looks like, okay? So if you have an alcoholic mind, you are constantly thinking you know everything, right? In your little tunnel vision, you see things the way you want to see them. Everything has to be the way you want it to be. You get very irritable, restless, and discontent when people aren't doing what you want. They're not turning out the way you want. You're not getting what you want. You're losing what you have. And what happens is you start to think you could read minds, okay? A lot of people do this. You're going to say to me, Karen, a lot of people do that, right? Like if I'm sitting there and I'm sitting on the couch and someone walks in and I'm eating Doritos and drinking a Coke, let's say. They walk in and look at me and I think to myself, you know what? I know what they're thinking. They want me to get up and help them. They're working, they're vacuuming and cleaning, and they want me to help. I know what you're thinking. And they say, you know what I'm thinking? Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You want me to get off my fat ass and help you, don't you? And they say, no, I was going to ask you what you wanted for lunch. Does that seem familiar to you? That you always think, those people over there are talking about me. Those people are mad at me. She seems really upset. I wonder what I did wrong, right? Now, the mental illness is not so much that you think that you think you know what other people are thinking, or you think you understand something, right? It's when you act on that. It's when you make stuff up, right? You're not even sure. And then you react accordingly. I'll give you an example. When I was about 10, right, we had these 10-speed bicycles in my neighborhood, and there was about 6 of us girls that ran together. We were like a gang, right? Like a hoodlum gang. We were great girls, but we rode around on these bikes everywhere, 10-speeding everywhere. And you could always tell where we were at, whose house we were at, because we just dropped our bikes down in the driveway or in the front yard, and we were inside. You could see, right? Like 6 to 10 bikes, just there they were, like a gang, rode into town. And one time we were at my friend Susie Simon's house, and everybody was inside, and I was sitting on the front porch. A couple people were outside with me, and just Susie's screen door. It was in Spokane, Washington, so we had screen doors. The door was open, but the screen door was shut. And they were inside, and the TV was on, and I was outside with a couple girls, and those 2 girls went inside, and all of a sudden I was outside by myself. And I was sitting there, and I thought, oh my God, they're talking about me. I could hear it. I just knew they were talking about me. They didn't like me, right? Now, it's one thing to think that, but I acted on it, right? I got up, started crying, jumped on my 10-speed, and I rode home. And I pulled into the house, and I threw my bike down in the driveway, ran in the house, ran straight to my room, slammed the door, jumped on my bed, and cried into my pillow. My mother came to my door, and she knocked lightly, and she said, Karen, what's wrong? Oh my God, they don't like me. They were talking about me. They were saying terrible things. And I cried and cried. She said, honey, how do you know? What did they say? I don't know. I couldn't hear them, but they were talking about me. And all my friends, they pulled up outside and they knocked on the door and they said, Mrs. Roberts, can we see Karen? She rode off, and we were talking about, what we were going to do for lunch. And she left. She left in a hurry. She was crying. What happened? And they came in. They said, Karen, we weren't talking about you. We were talking about going to Marcy's for lunch. Her mom was going to make hot dogs. That's all we were talking about, was we should go to Marcy's for lunch because her mom was making hot dogs. Now, can you see that pretty clearly? That's alcoholism. It's one thing to think people are talking about you. This is the other thing to act on it. That is mental illness. Believing what I'm thinking. My thinking is not the same as everybody else's. Nobody else in my friends might have one time thought somebody was talking about them, but they didn't act on it. You know what? I have a history of quitting jobs, breaking up. I have been miserable for days because I thought someone was cheating on me. He wasn't. He wasn't. My mind started going. I made up this story. It went on and on and on. And all of a sudden, all the things started connecting. You know, it all made sense, right? Oh my God, that's why he did this. And that's why, and I couldn't reach him that day. And it's because of this. And he's probably been seeing it for months. I know who it is. I know who it is. It's that girl that came to the house. Oh my God, that is mental illness. That is alcoholism. And you see in all of that, all those examples I gave you, I'm thinking about myself. It's all about me. There's no room in there for anybody else. Whether it's self-pity, remorse, guilt, fear, resentment, it's all includes me. These are just ways for me to think about myself, and then I make shit up. And I'm gonna blame you. Those are just some of the inconsistencies of alcoholic thinking. So if you have a loved one that behaves like that, it's not on purpose. It's the way their mind works. Most likely, you know, you're dealing with an alcoholic who is selfish and self-centered to the core, and they can't even see it. All right. Talk to you later.